Since 8 o'clock this morning, and it's about almost 3 o'clock now. He's just laser focused. He's engaged. He's helpful. He's confident. You know, we're going through our defense as we do every day, and his spirits are relatively good.
How do you explain the baby oil and the lubricants? 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was a lot. I mean, there's a Costco right down the street. You know, I think America.
Well, guys, I figured it's probably about time, right? For the last week or so, one single man and his actions have been terrorizing the internet. Considering the fact that I sometimes talk about real things on this channel, I thought I should see what all the hubbub is about. Yeah, we're talking about Diddy. Now, if you don't know who Sean Diddy Combs is, go ahead and click off this video for me, okay?
When you hosted for Diddy, did you catch any baby oil?
I hosted Diddy.
You think he's safe in jail?
I'm sorry, I know normally I would try and do a recap, give you some context, but I mean, if you don't know who Diddy is at all, that's honestly kind of impressive. You should just keep that as part of your personality rather than have it ruined by the things you're going to hear today. I'm looking out for you. But if you do know Diddy, then you're probably sick of hearing about him at this point.
How do you explain the baby oil and the lubricants? 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I mean, there's a Costco.
For the last few weeks especially, and really, the last 3 or 4 months, if you're considering the whole timeline, I don't think there's been a single name I've heard more in the last 10 days than Diddy. Now, if you know who Diddy is, but somehow don't know why he's so relevant right now, well, there's a lot. I'll go through the major stuff and cover the big headlines, but I'm not going to dive into every single detail because at this point, it feels like it's been done enough, right? Everybody and their mother, really, the entire family has been talking about this for the last week straight. There's only so much about baby oil and freak off.
It goes back to one point. So I have a dream. A lot of times people see your dreams, they crazy. You going for your passion you have for your dreams may make you act crazy. You're trying to reach your goals for your dreams. You're driven, you know. The dreams you have are so visionary, they may call you a genius. But it's just, I'm a dreamer. I love closing my eyes and dreaming. I don't really deal with reality when I deal with trying to work towards.
That I can tell the average person without them already knowing something about it. So, don't get me wrong, a lot of this video will focus on what Diddy has allegedly done, but I also want to take part of this video to talk about some of the more recent developments and, more importantly to me, the way the general population has reacted to all of this. So, if you're looking for a deep dive into the freak-offs, I sincerely apologize, but that's not what you're going to find
No
here.
air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, you know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
How do I address you?
You can call me Love.
But don't worry, I will talk about baby oil, just for you. That I can promise. With all that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. Please subscribe. Okie dokie, so Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Puffy Diddy, the man of many names, was arrested on September 17th and charged with sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. This came from a federal indictment that includes evidence and allegations.
I let Puff go. For the whole time he was let go, he was always on payroll. I never stopped paying him until he found his next spot. His artists were always still getting per diem. Because I didn't do it to hurt him, but I knew it was time for him to grow.
Dating as far back as 2008. In the indictment, prosecutors allege that since 2008, Combs has been part of a criminal organization that engaged in, or
I named it Bad Boy. Because I wanted to go against the grain. Anytime you go against the grain, they consider you like kind of bad. Nothing negative, nothing like hardcore. Just, I didn't want to be regular. I didn't want to just make records. I didn't want to just make money. I wanted to make history.
attempted to engage in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, and other offenses. Damian Williams, who is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, made several statements about
other big names that will come out in relation to these charges. He says the day will come, you said this, when you start naming names. When will that day be, and how big are these names that we're talking about?
You know, people are very interested in that, of course. That comment has been repeated back to me, as you might imagine, many times. and people are, waiting with bated breath, hoping that, I'm going to name these big celebrity names. But I can tell you this, I look at it in this context. If you attended one of these events, and we're talking about, we've heard about the white party and the freak offs and the after parties, but there's also, impromptu parties at studios, after parties from concerts, album release parties, hotel parties. I mean, the list goes on and on. But in my view, if you attended those and you saw or knew that somebody was being given drugs, that their drinks were being drugged, and you sat by and either participated in some of this activity or encouraged this activity or allowed it to go on and helped cover it up, or were in the room while it was happening and said nothing and did not intervene, and perhaps attended more of these parties knowing that this type of conduct was going to occur, it's my view, that may not be the criminal justice system's view, but it's certainly my view that you're complicit.
The case. One was that the indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity. Now, you hear about these charges, this criminal activity, and some of
a dangerous game, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I was selling drugs real hard, When I got the record deal, all I got cut short. So it's like he Jesus to me, you know what I'm saying? Because he just saved me. And it's real, and I go all out.
Now, I ain't saying none of that. I'm not Jesus.
To
Jesus.
Me, I look at him like, I say Jesus.
And the next question is, watch out for the thunder out this month.
He saved me. Love you.
You might be wondering what exactly they are referring to. It seems the main focus of this case, and really the main focus of anyone talking about it, is the freak-offs. Some of you might be wondering, what exactly is a freak-off? We'll get more into the dictionary definition soon, but basically these were the sex parties that Diddy was allegedly hosting. By the way, that's supposedly the name he used for them. It's not funny, but, I mean, let's be real, it's kind of funny. That sounds like some stupid Gen Z term.
It's official. We're here. Dirty Money album release party. Last train to Paris. It's crazy. I decided to switch scenes. Got too hectic down there. I'm up here in a hot tub, doing it official. You know what I'm saying? My Trey's up here. Fab's up here. When you have a scene like this, you gotta bring balls with you. As you see.
If you told me that originated on TikTok, I wouldn't question it at all. The fact that a 54-year-old man referred to his sex parties as freak-offs. That's comedic. But I digress. Combs allegedly referred to these incidents as freak-offs according to the indictment. Prosecutors say that Combs directed these freak-offs and often recorded them, distributing controlled substances to the victims, which helped make them obedient and compliant. He allegedly used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made during the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. The indictment also alleges that Combs maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, threatening to take away financial support or housing, promising career opportunities, monitoring their whereabouts.
This is consensual adults doing what consensual adults do. We can't get so puritanical in this country to think that somehow sex is a bad thing, because if it was, there'd be no more.
And even dictating their physical appearance. The victims didn't believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. Prosecutors also accused Combs of carrying or brandishing guns to intimidate and threaten both victims and witnesses. Upon raiding Diddy's home, authorities reportedly found firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large-capacity drum magazine. This article doesn't mention it, but they
from their hip, and I turned to tell my friend, like, "Ooh, girl, watch out, oh my God," because there was really nowhere for me to go. Where I was standing, there was a wrought iron metal rail to my back. There was nowhere for me to go. And so as they were going back, they were backing back, like literally walking backwards towards the door, drawing from their hip. I told my friend, I said, "Oh my God, watch out." As I turned back to look at them, I watched them, bow, bow, both of them fired, and the muzzle flash was like, psh, psh. Shine's muzzle flash was a little higher. He was on the side closest to the bar. Puffy's muzzle flash was a little lower, and he was on the side closest to where I was, straight ahead from me. I watched them both fire their guns. I watched them. I got hit right here, in my nose, in between my eyes, which means I'm facing.
Also seized various kinds of drugs, videos, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, which I find kind of strange. Baby oil is a terrible lubricant. I know for some reason that's like a hot topic, but if you're using baby oil for lube, your stuff's...
I would wonder if he's white or black. And if I'm looking at any black guys that are A-listers that's bigger than Diddy, is only one that I could come up with. And there's a few I could come up with. Will Smith, he's bigger than Diddy. I would think Nick Cannon is bigger than Diddy. Who else on the black that are black actors or black in the business that's an A-lister that's bigger than Diddy, that's black? That's hard to think. But then if you got the A-listers, you know, you got to realize he ran with that black that Rat Pack, and I don't want to even say their names because they said I got their names wrong last time. What's his name? Kushner? What's the other guy? Leonardo? Yeah, his name. Man, I don't keep up with these cats, but I heard that that's not only the tape that's being shot. There's some other tapes out there, other people too with him, and him doing some things with some other people.
Messed up. If not now, then eventually. But I guess that's not really what's important here. If Diddy is convicted on all 3 charges, which, at the moment, seems largely dependent on who's willing to come forward, which, given the size of this case and what's at stake, I don't know how likely that is he could be facing a life sentence in prison. Now, obviously there's more information and more nuance to everything, but I feel like I've covered enough to give you the context you need to understand why we're talking about these things moving forward. Starting off with Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, who has said some pretty interesting things during this whole Diddy debacle. If you remember earlier this year, there was a video circulating on Twitter of Diddy chasing down a woman in a hotel. That was a video of him and his ex-partner, Cassandra Ventura, whose lawsuit against Diddy was apparently a big catalyst in getting this much larger case pushed forward. If you didn't see this video, you can Google Diddy Hotel and it'll come up. I'm not going to show it on YouTube because it's a video of a woman rushing out of a hotel room, with Diddy chasing after her wearing nothing but a towel. It makes it seem like she was trying to escape from Diddy's room while he was showering or something. Who knows? He proceeds to beat her, throws her on the ground, kicks her, and so on. And you want to know what Mark said about that? He argued that it was just a troubled but consensual relationship, and that the sex and violence involving the freak-offs were totally separate and motivated by different things. If you watch the video, it doesn't look too consensual to me. Regarding the bigger case, Agnifilo has said things like, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs." He described Combs as a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist. He said, "He's an imperfect man, but he is not a criminal. Pretty sure beating the crap out of a defenseless person makes you a little worse than imperfect. And that's not even considering the other allegations against him." Most recently, Agnifilo made a complete fool of himself after making a few statements about the case, specifically about the baby oil. Fortunately for us, it's all on video.
So, there's quite a few tapes that might be out there, what they're hearing, and I don't want to see the tapes, but I want to know if they really true. Because if they got if they got some tapes out there and it was some underage, whether it's celebrities or not, it's gonna be crazy, bro. It's gonna be real crazy. And they're gonna have to bring that to forefront because the prosecutor's gonna want those tapes. And they're gonna do whatever they have to do legally to get those tapes. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. So we just better hope for his sake, that's just a bunch of bull crap. But then there's lawyers out there saying Yeah, the tape does exist. Lawyers got on television to say the tapes exist. I don't really know or trust that, because they was trying to say he had a tape with one of the bodyguards and this lady that came out. So we don't know what to think until we actually see that and we get that version. You remember we had that bootleg version of R. Kelly tape?
Yeah, I remember that.
They don't even bootleg. Yo, they don't even bootleg no more, man. So it's gonna be hard to figure it out if it does exist.
Do you believe the guy in the tape is white?
If he's bigger than Diddy and he's not none of the names that I said, probably so. But then they say he was young too.
Yeah, they say he was young.
Let me get his name right. I hope it ain't the Bieber. I hope it's not the Bieber.
That's a good one. It might be you. But if they saying that the guy is young and he's an A-lister, I can't think of that many black people, man.
Right. Not at all. And some
Messed up. If not now, then eventually. But I guess that's not really what's important here. If Diddy is convicted on all 3 charges, which, at the moment, seems largely dependent on who's willing to come forward, which, given the size of this case and what's at stake, I don't know how likely that is he could be facing a life sentence in prison. Now, obviously there's more information and more nuance to everything, but I feel like I've covered enough to give you the context you need to understand why we're talking about these things moving forward. Starting off with Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, who has said some pretty interesting things during this whole Diddy debacle. If you remember earlier this year, there was a video circulating on Twitter of Diddy chasing down a woman in a hotel. That was a video of him and his ex-partner Cassandra Ventura, whose lawsuit against Diddy was apparently a big catalyst in getting this much larger case pushed forward. If you didn't see this video, you can Google Diddy Hotel and it'll come up. I'm not going to show it on YouTube because it's a video of a woman rushing out of a hotel room, with Diddy chasing after her wearing nothing but a towel. It makes it seem like she was trying to escape from Diddy's room while he was showering or something. Who knows? He proceeds to beat her, throws her on the ground, kicks her, and so on. And you want to know what Mark said about that? He argued that it was just a troubled but consensual relationship, and that the sex and violence involving the freak-offs were totally separate and motivated by different things. If you watch the video, it doesn't look too consensual to me. Regarding the bigger case,
somebody that's more powerful, more of a celebrity than Diddy. You understand what I'm saying? If they were saying somebody that was more celebrity than Diddy, he was an A-lister, he was younger. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not black, it would have to be the Bieber. That's his name, Bieber? They said I got that wrong too. Justin Bieber, allegedly. I don't know, bro. But this is the world that we live in now, man. That these individuals thinks it's all right. Bruh, when does it comes all right to be sitting there eating food off a naked woman? When did we start doing what they do? Let's keep it a buck. When did we start doing what they do? These guys is popping pills. These got Jay-Z dancing with a chick that's into capitalism and supposed to be witchcraft.
Agnifilo has said things like, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs." He described Combs as a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist. He said, "He's an imperfect man, but he is not a criminal. Pretty sure beating the crap out of a defenseless person makes you a little worse than imperfect. And that's not even considering the other allegations against him." Most recently, Agnifilo made a complete fool of himself after making a few statements about the case, specifically about the baby oil. Fortunately for us, it's all on video. Messed up. If not now, then eventually. But I guess that's not really what's important here. If Diddy is convicted on all 3 charges, which, at the moment, seems largely dependent on who's willing to come forward, which, given the size of this case and what's at stake, I don't know how likely that is he could be facing a life sentence in prison. Now, obviously there's more information and more nuance to everything, but I feel like I've covered enough to give you the context you need to understand why we're talking about these things moving forward. Starting off with Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, who has said some pretty interesting things during this whole Diddy debacle. If you remember earlier this year, there was a video circulating on Twitter of Diddy chasing down a woman in a hotel. That was a video of him and his ex-partner, Cassandra Ventura, whose lawsuit against Diddy was apparently a big catalyst in getting this much larger case pushed forward. If you didn't see this video, you can Google Diddy Hotel and it'll come up. I'm not going to show it on YouTube because it's a video of a woman rushing out of a hotel room,